Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's new God of War KRATOS figure, aka Papa Kratos. The one with the pants and the beard and the clothes and it's the new look for Kratos. So that's what we have here. NECA did a really good job with the original one, so now we have this one. Will it live up to the reputation? Well, I guess we'll just have to find out. So let's go ahead and take it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 21 centimeters, which makes him just about 8¼ inches, a little bit shy of that. So he definitely has some size to him, and he is particularly well articulated. A lot of the times with NECA figures, we do get a whole lot of articulation, but there are a lot of ball pegs for ankles and things like that that just don't have the best range. This guy doesn't have that issue, so that's pretty cool. But the thing that really stands out the most on this guy, well, it's actually two things. One is the sculpt. It's really fantastic. They did a really, really good job. And two is the paint. They just really, really nailed it. This guy is covered with detail, both sculpted and painted. It looks like he came right out of the game and turned into a plastic action figure. Very, very well done. It looks to me like the skin was molded in like a dark flesh tone type of color and then dry brushed with white, which gives it the perfect look for what Kratos is supposed to be. The only real issue I have for the paint job, and maybe this is how it's going to look in the game, I don't know, since I don't have a PlayStation, I haven't really followed it too much. You can see for a lot of the red line work here, there's a little bit of like red shading going around each side, so I'm not sure if it's just that there's two coats that kind of didn't overlap properly or what. So maybe that's perfectly accurate, maybe it's not, I don't know. We'll talk about this piece that just fell off. We'll talk about that in a minute. But otherwise, the paint job is just really well done. The scar on the stomach, the beard with a little bit of gray in there, the eyeballs, it's just painted so nicely. Looks really good, and then everything is just sculpted with texture and details and just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. They really, really nailed it. So instead of just talking about how good it looks, let's talk about the accessories. First of all, we do have his new, I guess now iconic axe. Very nicely done. Lots of nice sculpt work and details in there. So just really no problems there at all. We do have a little bit of a knife. I don't know how much he'll be using this little knife. It doesn't really seem like the God of War to me, but he does have this and it will fit in the little sheath that's on his belt. And then we have his shield, which is a big, nice shield, and it's painted really nicely, good sculpt work, nice and clean edges, no problems with that at all. Now, as far as the shield goes, you'll notice it doesn't really have a handle, just has that weird little keyed tab on there, and that's what this thing that fell off, that's what that's for. So this thing comes out, the very first time you do it, it's kind of tricky, but then after the first time, it wants to fall out constantly. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. Not necessarily my favorite design for a removable peg, but it does work well for holding the shield. The shield stays on there nice and snug, so no issues with that at all. That is perfectly fine. You can see it's nice and big and imposing and looks like a shield should, so that's good. So this pegs in nicely. This guy, unfortunately, I'm guessing because they didn't want to make it too difficult to remove, it falls out way too easily. So you have a very good chance of losing this if you're not extra careful. So I'm just going to set it off to the side. And that's really the only complaint about that, is you might lose it. Otherwise, it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, so one other thing to note is that this is a floating piece. This whole shoulder harness thing is a floating piece. So that's pretty good. It won't really get in the way too much. And then they also have one of the layered pieces. Instead of having it up here, it's down here. And that's pretty good. That allows for the shoulder articulation to be pretty much unencumbered. A little bit, of course, but not too much at all, so that's pretty good. Now, as far as articulation goes, the head is on a double ball peg, and it works really well. You'd have to really try to get it to create like a weird gap or anything like that. But you get really good range, up and down, side to side, no problem at all. This is exactly how a double ball peg neck should be, which is how all necks should be. A ball hinge just will not work as efficiently as this. All it takes is a little bit of planning. That's why I always say for the figure arts, double ball peg. It's how you should do it. And this is a perfect example. It works no problem at all. It's fantastic. I love that. For the shoulders, it's basically your standard ball hinge, so you have the rotation going all the way around. No issues there. Pretty much unencumbered going up to the side too. You might want to be careful that you don't scratch anything, but it's not like it's forcing it too hard, so that's pretty good. You do have your bicep swivel, which is pretty good. No problems there. Double jointed elbow gives you really good range. Again, no problems there. We have a ball hinge wrist. They really stepped it up this time. So it doesn't have the best range in the world. Most ball hinge wrists don't. but it does look good enough, so that's okay. I would have preferred the color match a little bit better, but otherwise that's fine. It's really nice to have a ball hinge wrist. For the torso, it's just a ball peg for the lower torso, so you're not going to get a whole lot of forward and back, just a little bit side to side, and then pretty much all the rotation you want, just might get a little bit tight. This piece right here is actually not floating. It's actually connected in some way. I don't know if it's just pinched in with like a layer between the torso and crotch. I don't know, but it doesn't really move that much. It is soft, so it gives, but it's not really going to move too much. But I don't think you really could anyway because it's just got so much stuff going on. It's nice and well detailed, well sculpted, very, very well done. For the hips, it's just your standard. Hopefully you guys can see in there. Maybe you can't. Probably not. It's just your standard NECA ball hinge hips. So they are a little bit loose side to side, unfortunately. Not terribly, and they do feel like they're kind of lightly ratcheted. But going forward and back, they are definitely loose. Much like the Predators and Xenomorphs, unfortunately. And then you can see they are connected to each other again. So it's not the best design. It's not like he's going to fall over immediately, especially with the skirt holding the legs in place a little bit. But they are a little bit loose. You do have a thigh swivel built in, so that's nice. Double jointed knees, which are really well covered by this soft piece that's glued on top for his little knee pads. And you get really good range out of that. Of course, they're not fully covered when you bend him because he's got bulky pants on. I think at this price point, that's fine. I'm kind of a stickler for baggy panted knees. Almost nobody does it right, so I can't really fault NECA at this price point especially, but there are ways to do it, and I just wish some company would do it at some point. We've only seen like 3 examples, but these are fine. I'm not really complaining about it. Like I said, at the price point, that's more than good enough. For the ankles, we do have a hinge going forward and back. It is pretty limited just due to the sculpt, but the ankle itself it does have a rotation up here, and of course there's a peg down here, so it's essentially a ball hinge, which is just perfect. That's exactly how you want it to work. Ball hinges are absolutely the best way to do the ankle. Unfortunately, it is limited front to back, but we do have a nice toe hinge. So yeah, it's pretty darn good. We have a little bit of looseness in the hips. I think that's okay. The knees, if you bend them all the way, they get a little ugly. Again, I'm willing to look past that. I think that's okay. These things I'm pointing out are very small issues, relatively speaking. What you're getting for your money is just really, really fantastic. You can store his axe on the back right here with a little dangly bit. So that goes on there. Knife goes in right here. And then you can put the shield on in his forearm right there. Really pleased with this guy. I think you guys will be too. It's absolutely fantastic. Couple little gripes here and there, but what figure's not going to have those? So definitely go get yourself one if you're interested in this kind of thing at all. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.